Hello students, welcome to today's class of history, chapter 2 from trade to territory. The company establishes power. Today we shall discuss on the topic of the company army. As we have seen in the last class, how the Britishers tried to bring in changes and reforms in the different fields of administration. In the last class, we have come to know how different codes, that is civil codes and criminal codes, were established. These were all reforms that the Britishers were trying to make. Now let's come to the second changes that was made in the British administration, that is the company army. The colonial rule in India brought in some new ideas of administration and reforms, but its power rested on its military strength. So, the military power was very important for the British. But before the British, who were the rulers who ruled India? It's no doubt the Mughals. So, how was the military system in the Mughal army, or what was the military strength of the Mughal rulers? The Mughal army was mainly composed of cavalry, that is sawars. Sawars means trained soldiers on horseback, and infantry. Infantry means foot soldiers. They were given training in archery, that is tir andazi, and the use of the sword. This training were given to the foot soldiers. The cavalry dominated the army, and the Mughal state did not feel the need to have a large professionally trained infantry. And the reason is the rural areas had a large number of armed peasants, and the local zamindars often supplied the Mughals with pedal soldiers, that is foot soldiers. So whenever necessity was felt of infantry, these farmers and peasants, they were sent as foot soldiers. A change occurred in the 18th century when Mughal successors states like Awadh and Benares started recruiting peasants into their armies and training them as professional soldiers. So here we find that after 18th century, the infantry were given importance. But first we found that how infantries were regarded as less important than cavalry. Now, the East India Company also adopted this method, and it began recruiting its own army, and which they came to be known as Sepoy army. The word Sepoy comes from the Indian word Sipahi, meaning soldier. So probably the word Britishers mispronounced the word Sipahi as Sepoy. As warfare technology changed from 1820s, the cavalry requirements of the company's army declined. That means their demand became less. And why? This is because the British Empire was fighting in Burma, Afghanistan, and Egypt, where soldiers were armed with muskets. Muskets means a heavy gun used by infantry soldiers, and matchlocks. Matchlocks is an early type of gun in which the powder was ignited by match. So the soldiers of the company's army had to keep pace with changing military requirements, and its infantry regiments now became more important than cavalry. In the early 19th century, the British began to develop a uniform military culture. Uniform military culture means same culture in eating, dressing, etc. Soldiers were increasingly subjected to European style training, drill, and discipline that regulated their life far more than before. Often, this created problems since caste and community feelings were ignored in building a force of professional soldiers. Therefore, could individuals so easily give up their caste and religious feelings? So, this is for the soldiers who were serving in the British Army. So, could they see themselves only as soldiers and not as members of communities? So, what did the sepoys feel? How did they react to the changes in their lives and their identity, that is, their sense of who they were? And this is how the revolt of 1857 started. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.